family YouTube video, wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you're live here on this Thursday evening, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, tell your family about the channel, share the video on all social media platforms, and make sure you click that bell so you'll be notified whenever we go live. Don't have much for you tonight unless we get some commenters, and I hope we do, because as you see from the title of the video, which side are you on? And it's a question, not a rhetorical question, but an actual question, because I'm curious which side of the fence you'd be on. So tonight's video longevity all depends on if we get commenters, and if so, how many. But before I get to why I'm asking which side are you on, just curious, now that we're only 7 days away from the beginning of college football, because we have Anderson and Furman coming up next Thursday night. Starts at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So 7 nights exactly from right now, we'll be having game number 1 of the 2026 college football season. But did you hear the story that came out? I heard about it yesterday, but maybe it came out on Monday or Tuesday. But TCU has a cornerback that has been dismissed from the football team because he beat up a teammate and put him in the hospital, and the teammate is still in the hospital. Now, that defensive back's not a freshman. He was just new to TCU because he transferred there, and I can't recollect right now exactly where he transferred from. I don't recall, but anyway, he was a transfer to TCU, so he never played a down for TCU and never will, because he's been dismissed from the football team. But the way the article reads, he pretty much jumped this teammate from behind in the locker room, which tells me either this teammate had his back turned and didn't expect it, or he had his hands full holding something and couldn't defend. That's basically what it means when it says, assaulted and jumped in the locker room. But my question is, first of all, if it happened in the locker room, there had to be a coach, a player, a manager, a ball boy, a statistician, a media writer. There had to be somebody around. Why did nobody try to stop it? And second of all, I know there's such thing as teammate scuffles. I get that. But when you put somebody in the hospital from beating them and they're still in the hospital, this goes beyond teammates scuffling. Like, this guy might have some anger issues, but maybe we'll find out later on exactly, why it happened. We know what happened, but exactly why did it happen. The sad part is, supposedly the Fields guy wrote a statement saying he was sorry, he's remorseful. You're always remorseful after the fact, especially after you get in trouble. If you're that remorseful, you never would have gone through with it, because nobody makes you do those things. You choose to. You can stop yourself, and you don't. So if you're that remorseful, you would stop yourself before it happened. Hey there, 07. Glad to have you here on this Thursday evening. I was just wondering if anybody had heard about that. But my tonight, and the main purpose of tonight's video is, which side are you on? Because I honestly don't know which side would be better. And the reason why I'm asking that is because, again, the NCAA tried to lay down a rule, and the players took it to court, found a judge that would override it and give them what they want. And it's so funny because people always take shots at the NCAA and hate on them. But the fact is, it's not their fault. They have rules. They try to enforce the rules, but anytime they try to enforce the rules, the players just go over their head and find some kind of a judge that gives the players what they want. So it does the NCAA no good to step in and make rules, because they'll just say, you know what, we'll show you, we'll get what we want. And it's funny because a few years back when the whole NIL thing started, Dabo Swinney spoke up and said, if we start paying players, it's going to be the death of college football, and it's going to hit a point of no return where we'll never get it back. And for some reason, most people choose to hate Dabo Swinney, and anytime Dabo says something, they either say, oh, he's crazy, or oh, he's bitter, or this man what he's talking about. And every time he says something, he ends up being true. And ever since they started paying players, it's gone into a downward spiral. And if it don't hurry up and stop, there'll be no college football in 3 or 4 more years. But there was supposed to be a rule, supposedly, that once you go to the NFL, you're done playing college sports. Well, 15 players, or 16, I believe 15, are now trying to sue the NCAA, which is why they went to court, saying that they're going to be allowed to go back to college football because they've got 1 year of eligibility left. And it's for the players that either didn't get drafted at all, so now they're on practice squads, or they got drafted but not as high as they thought they should have been drafted, so now they're going to go through training camp and all that kind of good stuff, and then right before the NFL season starts, they get cut, and then they're going to be allowed to go back to college football. First of all, you ain't been in the college locker room in 8 months, 9 months, so a lot's changed since then, especially with the whole transfer portal thing. Now, you're not going to know most of your teammates. You're probably not going to know, depending on what school you're from, and going back to, all the coaches, because usually if a head coach leaves, he takes at least both coordinators with him wherever he goes. So you're not going to know any of your teammates. You're not going to know probably half the coaching staff. You're not going to know the play calls if you have a new coordinator on offense or defense. Plus, if I'm a college player and I've worked my butt off all spring, all summer, trying to earn a spot, and this guy all of a sudden, because he's not good enough to go to the NFL yet, comes right back and takes my spot in the starting lineup, if I'm a college player, I'd be pissed about that. Hey there, Kevron. Glad to have you here. But it also makes me ask this question. Got drafted in the NFL, but they think, oh, my draft pick wasn't good enough, I'm going back to college. They go back to college, so what happens next year? Do they go back to the team that drafted them this past year and try to prove they're better? Or are they going to re-enter the draft? Because if they've got to re-enter the draft all over again, that's going to make NFL teams think twice, because now it's like, wait a minute, we want this guy, but he's not good enough to draft him in the first round. But if we don't draft him till the 4th round, if he's still available, for all we know, he goes to college and we lose that draft pick. Hey there, Leona. Glad to be here on this Thursday night. So my question is, how does it affect the NFL draft? Do you still go back to the team that drafted you? Or do you enter the draft all over again and get drafted all over again? Because I'm an NFL team, I'd be pissed that I wasted a draft pick on this guy, and then the next year, he don't even play for me. Leona, I don't recognize your name. If you are new to the channel, thank you so much for being here. Feel free to give the video a like, a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends, tell your family about the channel, and make sure to click that bell so you'll be notified whenever we go live, and tell your friends, tell your family about the channel. But I can't decide which one do I think is better. Which one would help college football, because this is another rabbit hole that we're going down, that if we don't stop it, college football is going to be dead in 5 years. And I told everybody here on this channel when it first started that paying players was a terrible idea, and now we see the direction we're going. Dabo Swinney came out and said it's a terrible idea, and now we see the direction we're going. So Dabo's not so crazy after all, because he was exactly right. Everything Dabo said is coming to fruition. Everything Dabo said would happen is happening, and Dabo said it would kill college football, and if we don't hurry up and stop it, it's going to kill college football. But how people didn't know that, I don't know. You know, when money gets involved, it changes everything. So why people didn't see this coming, I'll never understand that. To me, it was blatantly obvious that this was going to happen once you started paying players. But is it better? Let's say these players, get cut by their NFL team and they go back to college and try to go back to where, they were this past year. Would it be better for every college coach in America say, I don't want them? That kind of drama, they're not coming here. Just because you're not good enough for the NFL, I'm not going to mess up my team camaraderie and have other players mad at me because you stepped foot on campus for the first time in 8 months, or maybe for the first time ever, and think you're going to take somebody's starting spot. I don't want you. Because if 15 or 16 players tried that and nobody signed them in college, I think it might put an end to it. But you're always going to have corrupt coaches that don't matter what you did, what you've done, where you're from. If they think you can make their team better, they're going to sign you. Or would it be better if every one of these players gets signed? So next year we have this same thing all over again, and let's say 80 players do it, and all 80 of them get signed. And it just gets, higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. Because if that happens after a while, you're going to see the government step up and say, wait a minute, we've got to do something because this is awful. And eventually they step in, because that's what it's going to take, and I hate that's what it's going to take, because I've always said that politics and sports shouldn't mix. First of all, I totally, completely despise politics. Always have, always will. I can't stand it. But second of all, even if I followed politics, if I turn on the TV on a political station, I want to hear political talk. I don't want to turn on a political station to hear sports. There's a sports station and there's a political station. So I don't think the two should mix, and there's too much in the world going on for Congress, to me, to be worried about college football. But if they don't step in, obviously the NCAA can't, because they try, and every time they try, somebody overrides them. So which side of the fence would you be on? Which one do you think would help the sport more? Because something's going to have to happen. Do you think it would be that all these players try to go back to college and nobody signs them, so after this year, it never happens again? Or do you think it'd be better if they got signed and nothing happened this year, so next year, 3 or 4 times as many players try to sign, and they sign, and then Congress says, wait a minute, we've got to put a stop to this and make this stuff, a national law, because obviously a collegiate law is not good enough. Which side of the fence would you be on? Any questions or comments on this, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Co-workers and I got locked out of the piano factory yesterday. Apparently, someone lost all the keys. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them.